Good evening. Welcome to the regularly scheduled meeting of the Mayor and City Council of the City of College Park. I'm Mayor Bianca Motley Broom. We have a full quorum present with council members Clay, Karn, Allen, and Gay, so I'm calling the meeting to order at 7:30. The first item on our agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Our invocation is being handled by Chaplain Mackenzie this evening.
Good evening, everyone. Let us pray. Eternal God, we come before you this evening with joy and gratitude for this great responsibility and opportunity to move forward with conducting the business of the City of College Park. We thank you for blessing each of us to be here in this moment with our life, our health, and our strength. We pray for this governing body as they meet as instruments of your will. We pray for sensitivity to your spirit as they incline their ears to you and their eyes to see your will and the needs of our citizens. We pray that they engage in ethical communication based on moral fortitude and integrity that will lead to discussions and policy shaping that values the voice and the needs of our community. We thank you for our community. Bless our senior residents as we honor them, not just this month, but every day, as we are thoughtful of that which concerns them and brings them comfort and compassion. We pray for our youth who will conclude their school year this month, and those who are graduating and moving on to new levels and experiences in their lives. We pray for our department heads, our city staff, and our management team. We pray for their strength and their ability to walk in their expertise, to walk in transparency, integrity, accountability, and excellence as they implement and execute programs, projects, and presentations that demonstrate the core values of our wonderful village. We pray for our public safety personnel, our first responders, as they continue to serve and protect us. We pray your continued protection over their lives and their minds as they put themselves on the line daily to ensure our safety. We pray for our public works staff and every employee and every contractor, everyone that does business with the City of College Park. Now, God, as we proceed with the business at hand, help our leaders move forward with the business at hand in a spirit of openness, unity, and cooperation. Let them hear your voice and be guided by that which is right in your sight. Help them to realize and to promote the greatness that we possess and the opportunities we have to expand and prosper together as we transition into a community where equity, inclusion, diversity are honored, social dignity is valued, and every person can thrive. We turn from our thoughts and ideas to your wisdom and guidance as the words of our mouth and the meditation of our hearts are proven to be acceptable in your sight. In your name we pray, our Lord, our God, our Most High Redeemer. Amen.
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 Additions, deletions, amendments, or changes to the agenda. Mr. Hawthorne?
Nothing, Mayor.
Gentlemen, anything on your end? All right, didn't think so. All right, we'll move on to item 3A, which is approval of the regular session minutes from May 1st. Is there a motion to approve?
I will move to approve, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilman Clay. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilman Karn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, gentlemen. That is unanimous. Item 3B, workshop session minutes from May 1st. Is there a motion to approve?
Yeah, I will move to approve, but I had some corrections.
All right. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilman Carn. Councilman Clay, go right ahead.
I did get a response on my regular session. I fed these in, but I didn't see a response back, so I'll go through. On packet page 48, page 3 of 28 for the minutes, line 91, I think it should be patrol rather than control. Police patrol rather than police control. And if we go on to the next one, on packet page 54, which is 9 of 28 for those that are using paper copies, line 370, and I said, seems to be what we're looking for is not actually doing a complete analysis. And on packet page 61, which is 16 of 28 in the paper copy, line 720, master metering of electric for apartments, not or electric for apartments. And on packet page 62, that's the next page, on line 749, I believe it should read, I think Danielle has two, comma, about are we required to have sub-metering? In other words, I think Danielle has also questions about that. And on packet page 64, line 838, it just doesn't sound right. And for those that don't know, the two cynics, quick. Yorktown was a multi-family condominium apartment complex situation.
That has been changed to
It doesn't
two
make any.
sentences.
It doesn't make any sense. I don't.
I think the two.
It's the two sentences, quick. Those updated minutes were sent to us this afternoon.
Well, I thought I was saying, and for those who don't know, the two situations. Maybe I was comparing Yorktown to the apartments.
Well, maybe that's it. The two situations.
Yeah, it may have been what I was saying. I don't know if I said two sentences, but now did you look at it and I said the two sentences?
It was a toss-up. She had cynics, and I said that sounds right, but it sounds like sentences, so I changed it to two sentences.
I'll go back and listen to it, and I can tell you immediately. That way, I could tell you.
I
But I
actually- I'm
don't
sorry.
think I would have said. I know I wouldn't have said the two sentences. I don't think I would have said that, but I'll go back and listen. Sometimes I have to I'll translate for you sometimes. So I'll double check that and make sure it's correct.
And
Any others?
that's all I had. And
Okay, any other changes to the workshop? Hearing none, is all those in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Thank you, gentlemen, that's unanimous. Item 3C is the minutes from the budget meeting from April 4th. Is there a motion to approve?
I'm going to abstain on this one.
Is there a motion to approve?
I'll move to approve.
Thank you, Councilman Allen. Is there a second? Okay, motion dies.
Anything in particular going on, Ambrose, with this one, or?
I just haven't had a chance to review it.
Well, let's put it table for
We
the
had
to the next meeting.
Several hundred pages,
All right, yeah, we got quite a thick
major
packet, so-
pages in the executive session.
Well, we just put it on the next agenda to approve it. Yeah, hopefully it's a
Yeah,
little.
we can defer it to the next agenda.
I don't think it'll be as thick as this one. I hope.
Councilman Allen, do you withdraw your motion?
Yes.
All right. We'll put it on the next agenda. We'll take a motion to put it on the next agenda.
Motion.
Thank you, Councilman Carn. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilman Allen. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, Ms. Brown. We've got proclamations, resolutions, plaques, and announcements. It is National EMS Week and Annual Public Works Week. Let's start with EMS. But I see some other people who are definitely going to be here for National EMS Week, right? All right. Whereas National Emergency Medical Services Week will be observed throughout the United States, Sunday, May 21st, 2023, through Saturday, May 27th, 2023. This marks the 49th annual National EMS Week. In 1974, President Gerald Ford authorized EMS Week to celebrate EMS practitioners and the important work they do in our nation's communities. And whereas the theme for this year's National EMS Week is EMS, where emergency care begins. And whereas the College Park Fire Rescue Department is dedicated to saving lives and protecting all who live and visit the great city of College Park. This week, we will be providing EMS education classes and inviting to all an open invitation to visit a fire station. And this is not in the proclamation, but if you did not know it, you can have your birthday party at the fire station. Whereas the mayor and council of the city of College Park are in strong support of the efforts of the College Park Fire Rescue Department, and whereas the mayor and council call upon each resident and visitor of the city of College Park to observe EMS Week with intentional efforts to recognize the men and women in EMS called to serve communities across the nation. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the mayor and city council of the city of College Park, Georgia, do hereby recognize the week of May 21st through May 27th, 2023, as National EMS Week. Be it further proclaimed that the mayor and city council of the city of College Park, Georgia, do hereby commend the College Park Fire Rescue Department for their outstanding efforts and service in the protection of the residents of the city of College Park, and particularly for their efforts during National EMS Week. Proclaim this 15th day of May, 2023.
That's okay, we're up 3-0, and we're still even.
Heels of National Drinking Water Week, we're going to broaden our scope in the public works sector to National Public Works Week. Come on down. Whereas public works professionals focus on infrastructure, facilities, and services that are of vital importance to sustainable and resilient communities and to the public's health, high quality of life and well-being. And whereas these infrastructures, facilities, and services could not be provided without the dedicated efforts of our public works professionals. These professionals are engineers, managers, and employees at all levels of government who are responsible for rebuilding, improving, and protecting our city's water supply, water treatment, solid waste systems, public buildings, and other structures and facilities essential to our citizens. And whereas it is in the public's interest that our citizens, civic leaders, and children in the city of College Park gain knowledge of and maintain an ongoing interest in the understanding and importance of public works and public works programs in their communities, and whereas the National Public Works Week theme, Connecting the World Through Public Works, is a tribute to the public works employees who have made a commitment to our communities. Now therefore be it proclaimed that the Mayor and City Council of the City of College Park, Georgia, do hereby recognize the week of May 21st through May 27th, 2023 as National Public Works Week, Connecting the World Through Public Works. Proclaim this 15th day of May, 2023. Up next are citizen remarks. Ms. Brown, can you remind everyone what the parameters are?
Yes, ma'am. Residents have a chance to sign in before 7:30 or email their comments in. They're given 3 minutes. I have first up, this is Ms. Rose Stewart of 2453 Odell Way, discuss lollipops and Lego and Ignite.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. How are you today? I'm Rose Stewart. I'm the Assistant Director at Ignite Resource Center. And this is Jamel McKenzie, our CEO. We are here to thank the City of College Park. We had a very great event this weekend, lollipops and Legos. It was a great event. We had many citizens out. We had approximately 300 participants registered for our event. Many of them came and really enjoyed themselves. And we want to thank Councilman Clay for being there to participate in the event and to support us. We had support from the many departments within the city, the IT department, the Public Works Department, Recreation, and our police department were there as well, and they were actively participating. Many children really enjoyed the event. We had a Lego contest, a Lego building contest, and we had first, second, and third place winners in different age categories. We had arts and crafts out there with the kids painting. We had sport activities. We had many things that the citizens that were there enjoyed. And one of the best things that we were able to do is we were able to give away approximately 300 boxes of Legos. And I'm just so happy that we were able to do that. But we wanted to thank you. And we had many partners who assisted us with that event that we are very appreciative to. Emergent was there to provide some things that we needed. Flower College provided floral arrangements for the mothers. We had Lowe's that provided some things for our arts and crafts. Target assisted with gift items. Red Lobster, bundt cakes, and Moms on the Move, they assisted with food items that we needed. We had cakes and all kinds of things out there. Main Street Merchants, they also assisted with our arts and crafts. Sports International assisted with the activities we had going on. Sovereign Ecosystem like Tax Plus. But we want to thank everybody because this event could not have been as successful as it was without their participation. And we enjoy doing what we do with College Park because we want to make sure our citizens are served. And we appreciate you all for giving us that opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm gonna say this while you're still standing here. And I want to thank all of the Ignite staff, the team, our volunteers that came out. We cannot do the things that we do without the help that we get from our volunteers. So we had about 50 volunteers out there with us, and it was a wonderful, wonderful experience. But mainly, I want to thank this young lady that's standing up with me right now, Miss Rose Stewart. She is an amazing, amazing individual. We are so blessed as an organization to have her. I was actually out of the country last week, and Rose put together all the finishing touches, which brings me to this announcement that effective June 1st, Rose will be the executive director of Ignite Resource Center. She doesn't know it, but I'm making an announcement publicly so you can hold me to it. Thank you so much, Rose. We appreciate you and all of our team. Everyone have a good evening.
Thank you. Ms. Brown?
Next up, I have Greg Feldman of 15157 Vassar Avenue to discuss public safety.
Good evening, Mayor. Before I start, I've whittled this down between 2 minutes and 50 seconds to 3 minutes and 10 seconds. So if I can get a little bit of leeway, I would appreciate it. When does my time start?
Your time started when you started talking.
Okay. Good evening, Madam Mayor and members of the College Park City Council. I don't ordinarily speak at city council meetings. Most of the time, I meet with or call whichever council person I think could assist with the city matter the best. I've met with each of you on occasion over my last 17 years as a resident and 30-plus years in public safety. Tonight, I rise to speak on a travesty that occurred last week. On Friday, May 5th, 2023, I had the distinct honor of attending a memorial service at the Georgia Public Safety Training Center in Forsyth, Georgia. Although I don't wear a uniform anymore, I thought it would be fitting to honor those who lost their lives keeping the peace in their respective communities. Approximately 23 years ago, I was partners with, and became great friends to former College Park police officer Walter Donald Jenkins, Jr. While in attendance at the memorial service, I looked around and saw many friends, peers, mentors. But what I didn't see was a single College Park Police Department uniform. Today, May 15th, is National Peace Officer Memorial Day, as proclaimed by President John F. Kennedy. And again today, during the ceremony, there was no representation from the College Park Police Department, as his name was etched in stone on the National Peace Officer Memorial Wall in Washington, D.C. For 22 years, Walter dedicated his life to the citizens of the city of College Park. He held positions of patrolman, detective, motor officer, accident reconstructionist, and SWAT team member. What did he receive for those 22 years of service in the line of duty? Absolutely nothing. Nothing from this body, nothing from the police department, and more specifically, nothing from the leadership of the College Park Police Department. I can tell you without hesitation that every member of the College Park Police Department command staff has had many positive interactions with Walter. Some of those would even call him a friend. Walter worked many community events, details, riding his motor around town for safety checkpoints, stopping and talking to children at the huge Halloween celebrations that we have. While Walter was a detective, he used his friendly demeanor to get information and solve many heinous crimes. We many times say that being a member of the public safety community is being like family. What I can tell you is that we did not treat Walter as family. I believe the level of disrespect shown to him and the rest of his family is unfathomable. This is why we have such a systemic problem in the public safety community today, more specifically being a police officer. Police officers work long hours for low pay and ask very little or nothing in return. This council seems to find money for every pet peeve project they have or could have conceived over the many years of sitting in those chairs. They have also demeaned and dismissed many valuable employees for disagreeing on their points of view. It is high time that this council see that some of their problems that they have caused through their inactions. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
I will now read the email comments.
Ms. Brown, please make sure you get close to the microphone,
Am I close enough?
as long as you amplify.
Oh, okay. Greetings and salutations to all mayor, council, city manager, and city attorney. Happy belated Mother's Day to all mothers and
Thank you, Ms. Brown. If anyone else in the audience wishes to speak for 3 minutes, they can approach at this time. Seeing none others, we will move forward. We have a public hearing. Item 6A is a public hearing to receive comments on the proposed fiscal year 2023-2024 budget. At this time, I will declare the public hearing open. If anyone wishes to comment, they can come down at this time. At this time, I'll declare the public hearing closed. Item 7A is the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion.
Thank you, Councilman Gay. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilman Allen. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, gentlemen. That is unanimous. Item 8A is a request from Kasim Latipo to obtain a special event permit for the historic College Park Block Party on Saturday, May 20th from 12 p.m. to 5 p.m. at Victoria Avenue between Walker Avenue and Rugby Avenue.
Motion.
Second.
Okay, hold on one second. There's a motion by Councilman Carn. There's a second by Councilman Gay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, gentlemen. That's unanimous.
I would just like to make one caution going forward. This was a short-term, prior to the event, approval. We have to be prepared to do that for other citizens that come forward. This did not follow quite the policy. It should have been heard by council. The forms and approval should have occurred about a month ago. It's okay. I'm all for it. I think I'm going to come and have a good time. But I'm just saying that there will be other neighbors who will expect the same kind of treatment. And I just want it to be equitable.
So the requirement is 30 days out, is that?
Well, read the forms.
Right, okay. All right.
Thanks for being here, Mr.
We're good.
Latipo. Have
We're
a great
good,
evening.
Kasim.
Item 8B is a request for acceptance of CDBG COVID-3 CARES Act funding from Fulton County in the amount of $76,427.50. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Councilman Carn. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, everyone. But I heard Councilman Allen, so we'll, all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, gentlemen. That is unanimous as well. Item C is an approval of an amendment to the IGA between the City of College Park and the Business Industrial Development Authority regarding bond payment security. Is there a motion? All right. Any questions for Ms. Fullard Bradley then?
This was just the correction, the language correction, right?
That's it.
Yeah. Motion.
Thank you, Councilman Carn. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilman Clay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, that is unanimous as well. Item 8D is reallocation of funding for home maintenance programming for residents. Good evening, Ms. Hall Garrison.
Hello, good evening. So I am coming before Mayor and Council this evening to request the reallocation of $10,000 that currently has been assigned under the Old National Facade and Fire Suppression Grant. Currently, it does appear that we will have funds left over prior to the end of the budget, and I would like to utilize those 10,000 of those funds towards a pilot home remediation program. I did place this in as a requested budgeted item for next budget, but I felt that this would give us an opportunity to begin to test this program and to be able to see the results and help to assist some of our homeowners in need. Currently, I do have a recommendation as how we can structure the program, being that it is currently not using CDBG funding. The council is able to make some edits as this would be coming out of the fund or a general fund cost. And my recommendation is that if you were to allow for this reallocation of funds, that it could be utilized for owner-occupied homes of residents who meet 80% of the AMI. and with priority given to seniors and residents with disability. And this can be utilized for $10,000. We would be able to help to remediate one roof, several property maintenance such as grass cuttings, tree clippings, and then safety concerns such as wheelchair ramps, safety ramps, painting, things of that nature. And
So,
Ms. Garrett,
excuse me.
are you finished?
I just was going to provide an example of what the 80% AMI would be. So at 80% AMI, if it was one person, then that would be someone making $54,000 or less. Two people, $61,760 or less, and three people would be $69,440 or less. With 80% is the standard set by HUD. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hall Garrison. Questions, Councilman Clay?
So this is available to anyone in the city?
That would be my request, that we make this citywide. It can be the decision of the body as if you would like it to be specified in one area, but I am requesting it citywide.
Okay, and I didn't hear any mention of veterans. Is there any special concern for veterans? Did I miss it?
No, sir. We have the ability, as I stated, this is just staff's recommendation, so we can add that as a priority as well.
Okay. And the decision as to who is eligible, that will be made by, I mean, are we gonna have a board, or is that you, or is it a group of people, or what?
So I would like to do it as a lottery so that applicants can submit their information online and then be selected at random for which categories they qualify for. It also could be first come, first serve. So we say what day and time it's gonna open, and the first people to fill those spots would be selected. When I spoke with Mission Serve, they do say that there are some other jurisdictions where code compliance does pick, or they do nominate properties. I did want to make this as fair citywide because we come in contact with a lot of people, but we don't come in contact with everyone. So I felt it would be fair to be able to offer this to everyone and allow those who are in need to sign up.
It would seem that if you staff does the initial screening to make sure that they meet the requirements. So they turn in the paperwork, and if you have a window that they can turn in the paperwork, then just because someone's faster on the computer or runs it up, has the ability to run up to the city hall and deliver it personally, as opposed to someone who can't because they are in a wheelchair. So if you have a window, then it's fair to everybody to turn in their forms, however they have to turn them in. And then you can do a lottery on the window. That probably would be one way to do it anyhow. Okay,
Yes,
that's all I have.
Thank you, Councilman Clay. Councilman Carn?
It's a good program. I know we talked about this. During budget. I think there's some other options in terms of maybe how to do this as well. First come, first serve sounds good, but the problem backs up to notification and awareness of it being available.
That's the same thing I was saying.
We've talked several times about our email list. We do not know who's on the list. We do not know how many residents that are on the list. We don't know the composition of our email contact list when we send something out. And city manager, I know I've touched on this before. I'd like to see what that list is comprised of, so we'll know who it is we're reaching out to when we send that list out. And to this date, from staff, they have not been able to tell me, well, who is on this list. I know it doesn't include a lot of our multifamily communities. This project here apparently is for homeowners only, and we're saying owner occupied only, not renters. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Well, even in our housing stock, a significant portion of it are renters, but I understand, the ramifications there with ownership and the whole nine. Now, this says that $10,000 can handle 1 to 3 roofs. I thought I heard you mention one roof.
I did, as far as state 1 to 3, because it depends on what's selected. We know that it would be able to guarantee at least one, with the additional being able to assist with the number of volunteers.
Okay, So these are, this is a, kind of a relatively small amount of money. So we're talking about just a roof patch, kind of for leaks and stuff like that. I mean, you can't redo anyone's whole roof.
So the volunteers, the work is orchestrated or managed by a contractor, and then the work is done with volunteers, and they're offering, all we're paying for basically is the supplies.
Okay.
So this was the budget that was provided or stated through Mission Serve of what they would be able to offer.
Okay, understood. Yeah, so if the awareness of it, if it is first come, first serve, is it gonna be the folks that have the internet service or have cable to get the notification? How are you gonna reach everybody to make it a fair deal? Now, another option would be all of us select a couple of residents to put into the pot and so on and so forth that qualify. That way, we can do it that way. But if we're not able to reach everybody and there's some folks that don't know about it, that's my worry. And we don't communicate well because we don't know who we're talking to yet. And I want us to get that straightened out so we'll know who we're talking to and who we're reaching via email. And how else were you gonna get it out? Just internet, email?
So my staff has been working to compile a list of properties that we see that are in need. So for those residents that we feel would qualify for the program, that we know offhand had stated that they would meet the qualifications, we would go and tell them personally. As far as I would also work with communications and customer service to expound upon that, to make sure that we're getting the word out, as well as code compliance staff, once again going out and informing the neighborhood.
Well, I want you to make sure that if you're going out making these selections in your team, that evenly throughout the wards, that there's an equal opportunity as well, that you make sure that we're picking homeowners from each and every ward. Now, you can do that? Are you going to be doing that?
Yes, sir. So the direction would be given from the body if you're allowing me to reallocate, and you can kind of advise what the preference is.
Well, if we're not going to select, if there's no interest in that, then I think at least if your team is going to select, I want to make sure it's,
The recommendation is for us to do a lottery where, as Councilman Clay stated, that there is an open window, and then people are able to select within a certain time frame, and then a selection is made from those applicants. So unless the body decides that you prefer staff.
Joe, that gives you could have a window of a week or two or 5 or a month. And then you do a lottery on it, and it's about as fair as you can get.
That would be fair. The problem is we know we don't reach all of our residents. Now, if we reached everybody,
put it in the
then
newspaper,
we've
put
got,
it on TV, put it, that's why if you have a long enough window,
right.
You can reach as many people as possible.
Okay. Well, let's try to reach the folks that we can. And I know we're going to do our best to reach everyone. But I'd like to see it a little more even-handed across the wards, because something tells me, well, I want to make sure everyone gets an equal chance, but everyone doesn't have the same equal access to information in College Park. That's why certain neighborhoods get the notices and are well-informed, and others just are not sometimes.
Put it in the electric bill.
We can try the electric bill, stuff like this, something that reaches an even group of folks, I think.
Sir. There's are homes in need in every ward.
Exactly.
The level of need is, I can say there's a home in each level of need in every ward. So I think that there's definitely someone who could benefit from this program throughout the city, multiple people, actually.
Okay. Well, I want you to be cognizant of that. But if you're going to do it on a lottery, it could go anyway. Now, the electric bill is a good idea. So, I just want to figure out if we can ensure a way that everyone gets an even shot at this, that's all.
Councilman Allen?
I think it's a great program. I think the lottery is the way to go. If I've got somebody in my ward, I definitely will be in touch with them and have them get in touch with you, and each councilman can do the same thing, and it's just pure luck. And with the amount of money you have, you're not going to be able to spread a lot. It depends on how many roofs and how much damage and so forth. And again, I just think it's great that you're doing something like this. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Councilman Gay?
Yes, Ms. Garris, I have a couple recommendations. First off, I've seen programs by governments that try and do this. For me, it's a little bit ambiguous. And I don't know enough about mission serve that the city can legally give them the money if that's what they're doing, but maybe they're not. But Sunday, I was on Green Springs, and there's a gentleman who's lived there for about 40, 50 years. He doesn't have any legs, and in fact, he have an issue with his pathesis, and his grass is about this high. And the lady across the street, she ran over to my car. She says, "My water is going down. It's just going down." And so what I'm thinking is, with just $10,000, I would recommend that maybe you put this in the economic development code enforcement budget, and maybe use it with some mowing contractors to kind of keep residents who cannot keep their grass up, because $10,000 won't really go far with home improvements.
Yes, sir. As far as grass cuttings, this is something that can be offered through this program. What this program also offers, in addition to property maintenance through grass cuttings and shrub trimmings and tree clippings, as I stated, is it also helps our seniors or those who have disability to make their home capable, handy capable. So if someone, let's say the same example, the gentleman that you stated that has a prosthetic or is not able-bodied, Mission Serve would be able to build a wheelchair ramp for him to be able to go into his home, or be able to put safety railings in the restroom so that he can use the restroom safely.
So Mission
So they are able to do this in a.
So Mission Serves just need $10,000 from us to do all of this labor, is what you're saying?
Yes, sir.
A wheelchair ramp, what, 10, 50? I'm a little confused about, the program just seems it's a good cause. I just see it sounds ambiguous.
Yes,
It doesn't really make sense on how it could be administered. My recommendation would be that if there are deficiencies in our city where there are lawns or that's not being repaired, I see this as $10,000 that could go to mowing contractors, as opposed to trying to do a lottery or trying to announce it citywide, because I just don't see Mission Serve or $10,000 going that far. When I did charity for 2 years during COVID, I had more complaints from people because they didn't get served. Well, I thought I was doing a good job, then they angry. So I'm just giving you a recommendation. This might be a more equitable and simple way to. And the other question I have is, you mentioned that it wasn't on this. You mentioned that it was on the budget. Are you saying that this is a budget item that we approve, or this is a budget item that you want us to reconsider?
No, sir. So there was $20,000 given within last year's or this current fiscal year towards the Old National Facade and Fire Suppression Grant. Currently, I've only had one applicant for that process, and they're under review currently. So I will have funds remaining before the closeout of this year's budget. So I wanted to request to reallocate the funds available through that program to be utilized towards a home remediation program instead.
Well, Councilman Gay, if I can add something. I think the lottery's a good idea. I think that's a good method, but I did get to thinking about something. And, you know, people are funny and fickle about stuff, and you'll be surprised sometimes how people will look at things where there's only this is a relatively small amount of money. If someone is picking out certain jobs and certain properties, you're gonna eventually get to the point where someone's gonna say, well, so-and-so got this wheelchair ramp, and all I got was my mailbox painted, or so-and-so got this, or such and such got that. And a lot of times people can be really funny in terms of inequity. And you know how it is. Somebody, he got 2 lollipops and I only got 1. I think being that it's such a small amount of money, and I'm hoping this is something that we can keep going. I advocated for putting $50,000, $60,000 in one of the budgets, I think, last year for something along these lines. Did this outfit approach you, or did you find this outfit?
I was recommended to this outfit through several professionals within code compliance and building. And I vetted them through different professionals as stated within the references in your packet.
Okay, well, it's a great idea. I want to do it, but I'd like to do something more evenly across the board that in fairness covers everybody in a more equitable way. And to Roderick's point, one thing that he mentioned that did catch my eye, all right, I mean, it's springtime here, summer's coming. Grass is gonna be high. Grass is a relatively affordable, cheaper alternative. I mean, my grass is $80 for the front and back for my service.
Mine too.
Right? Okay. With $10,000, theoretically speaking, you could do over 100 yards, and everybody gets the same thing, more or less. And that may be a little fair. And it's a front-facing issue, so you kick things off in a bit of where it looks better coming down the roads, and everybody feels like nobody got, and you got more people you can serve, over 100 people with the same money, as opposed, and don't get me wrong, a permanent repair or something more substantial is probably long-term more valuable, but, you know, I think you can cover more people where they'll say it's a little more even-handed. That's all I'm saying. Does that make sense?
It is a decision of the body, so
Well,
whatever
this
your
is-
action is, I do think that when you begin home remediation, it is a process. So some of the properties that we're seeing that are blighted or are derelict currently, if we had had a program such as this, able to assist those residents in need, they may not have gotten to the condition that they're in.
Right.
I also, I do hear you that grass is important, but to an individual who is a senior on a fixed income or someone living on disability who is currently not able to safely enter their home, grass is not as important as being safely able to get into your home.
I don't disagree, but if you make one home safer for one senior and the other senior doesn't get the same, again, therein lies your issue. The other thing is going in someone's home. The service they had in East Point, you know, during COVID, they didn't go inside of homes. Fulton County had the same service when I was county commissioner. We cut off the interior minor repairs, and we backed it up to exterior minor repairs only for reasons which are obvious. But my opinion, a more even-handed approach to cover more people in a more equitable way would be initially outside lawn, I think for everybody would be more across the board. And I'd like to see, city manager, I'd like to see, you know, a substantial amount of money go into next year's budget for this so we can kind of step it up to more of the level. But I don't want people, you know, saying, well, there are only 8 homes got services, and so-and-so got this, but the other one got that, and the other one got the other. So it's just something to think about, but that's my 2 cents. I figured we could cover more people if we did a little less substantial, but it covers more residents.
I have a quick question. Is the $10,000 be given to the nonprofit, or are you gonna get invoices? How do you distribute the $10,000? Do you give it to the, because I tried to give $10,000. The city attorney said we're not allowed to give money to it. So how are we getting $10,000 to the nonprofit?
So as far as they would be purchasing supplies, I have discussed with them that we can either, as a city, purchase the supplies at that request, or they can, we would be invoiced. Basically, they would purchase the supplies, and then we would reimburse them for those. But once again, the amount would be determined by the type of supplies needed, and that would be determined by the applicants that are submitting.
May I make a
So
suggestion,
the labor
gentlemen?
is free?
Sir?
The labor is free?
Yes, the labor is free. The nonprofit is paying for the food, their lodging, and these are volunteers coming from local faith-based organizations.
That's fantastic. That's,
Yes.
so you're money going to a nonprofit that way is gonna get you a lot more mileage than spending it on labor of anything else, whether it be lawn cutting or snow shoveling or whatever.
Yes, sir.
Gentlemen, may I make a suggestion?
My opinion.
I apologize, Councilman Clay, for interrupting you. I think the issue before us is whether or not these funds get shifted toward this purpose. Does it make sense to have staff come back at the next meeting to talk about the process by which folks will be selected, so we can move on? Because we have spent a good bit of time talking about $10,000 when it seems the consensus of the body is we want to move forward with the process itself. We just don't know exactly how that's shaped. So why don't we come back at the first meeting in June with an actual process for it?
Also a selection of what we're gonna do and what the activity's gonna be in terms of.
The whole thing, the whole kit and caboodle. If we want to,
All right, that sounds good, yeah.
Yes, I just wanted to comment on the reallocation of the funds. Considering how late it is in the fiscal year, the expenses will be incurred during fiscal year 2024, so that would be in a budget amendment to the proposed budget once that comes back before you.
okay. Thank you, Ms. Floyd Bradley.
Well, like she said, the consensus was to put the money in the budget, so we know that tonight. So we don't have to.
No, she was reallocating 2023 $3.
Oh, okay, I got you.
Yeah,
Okay,
and
okay,
our
right,
fiscal year starts July 1st, so it would fall into that year.
Got it, okay.
All right, so is there a motion for the reallocation, approval of reallocation?
So moved.
Thank you, Councilman Clay. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilman Carn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. Thank you so much, and we'll hear about the details at the next meeting. The next item is consideration of an action on a request to designate a voting delegate and proxy to vote at the annual membership business meeting of the Georgia Municipal Association. I believe last year it was mayor and mayor pro tem. Is there a motion?
Motion.
So moved, or second.
Councilman Carn made the motion.
I
Councilman Clay?
second it.
Thank you. Seconded. All those in favor?
Hey,
Any opposed? Any abstentions?
Extension?
Thank you, Councilman Gay. So Councilman Clay, Councilman Carn, and Councilman Allen are in favor. Councilman Gay abstains. The motion passes. Item 8F is salary adjustment for mayor and council.
Mayor, I have a proposed motion.
Okay, go right ahead.
It's a two-part motion. And I ran it by the city attorney, or Dr. Baker ran it by the city attorney, I guess.
No, Mr. Hawthorne, city manager, ran it.
Or city manager ran it by the city. It was run by anyhow. I move to first amend the code to delete section 227C and adjust mayor and council salaries to the level originally set by section 227A and B, said adjustment to be effective June 1, 2023. And the second part is, second, immediately initiate the required public advertising and hold the required public hearings regarding reinstating the mayor and council salaries to the level in effect January 1, 2023, said reinstatement to be effective January 1, 2024. In other words, part of what was passed in 2000 and...
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilman Carn. Go right ahead, Councilman.
In other words, what was passed in 2006-2007 timeframe that took effect on 2008, January 1, that was legitimate. That increase for mayor and salary was legitimate at that time. But the things that happened after that, the cost of living adjustment and so forth, were in a gray area. I'm guessing this is the attorney that
It is, sir.
rendered the opinion, and that those things that were in the gray area were not justified, but the statute of limitation has run out on them, and I'm recommending the fair thing to do is to drop our salaries back to where they were January 1 of 2008 for the remainder of the year, and then come January 1 of 2024, they come back to the level that they were on January 1 of 2023, provided we have the required announcements and public hearings, and they're approved. And that way, and the reason I'm making the motion is because I have nothing to gain out of this. I'm not running again. And January 1, and I feel that, and I did this on my own. Nobody asked me to do this. But I feel that, given the volume of work that this council is processing these days, that the salaries are a real bargain that we're making right now. And, but I think the fair thing to do from a legal standpoint is to reduce the salaries for the rest of the year to where they were back in 2008, and then bring them back to where they are now. Now, we wouldn't have to bring them. You could change the motion and give us a 20% increase January 1. I'm not going to be here to benefit from it. So I feel safe in making the motion of saying, bring us back to where we are today. I'm not advocating for a salary increase, but I do think that, okay, penalize us for the rest of the year, but no more. And I'm sorry, I didn't see you there, sir, or I might have held off on my motion.
That's all right. Mayor and council members, I'm Bob Wilson. I'm the independent counsel. You asked to look at this. And
Could you talk a little closer to the mic, please?
Mayor and council members, I'm Bob Wilson. I'm the independent counsel that you selected to take a look at this. And my response to that is, someone has read my memorandum and understood it. That is correct, what you said.
Okay.
Our recommendation was that you strike the section that we believe to be invalid,
Right.
which is what your motion contains. And that if you wish, and that will put you back to the salaries that were set by the ordinance passed in '06 that took effect January 1, '08. But if you now want to increase that number, you go back to that salary, which is what you're saying, then you have to advertise it according to the statute. You must finish the process, must complete it before you get to qualifying for the election, municipal election in November. Must complete it by then. As long as you do that and it's effective January 1 of '24, you're good. And because of the statute of limitations, all the actions cannot be challenged at this point. So you have it exactly right, Councilman.
Oh, okay.
You obviously read it, understood it, and I'm impressed.
Councilman Carr?
I'm good.
Councilman Allen?
I agree.
Councilman Gay?
No questions.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you for
Wilson.
the opportunity
That
to
was
be of
unanimous.
service to you.
Thank you.
And I apologize for preempting
Listen, you've done a
Dr.
good
Baker's
job.
presentation and your discussion.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Item 9A is approval of property and casualty brokerage services. Good evening again, Dr. Baker.
Good evening, council.
Is there a motion?
I'll move to approve.
All right, thank you, Councilman Allen. Heard you first. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilman Clay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions?
Abstention?
All right, so Councilman Clay, Councilman Carn, and Councilman Allen are in favor. Councilman Gay is abstained. The motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 9C is a Keep College Park Beautiful contract extension consideration. Any
Hello
questions for-
again, Mayor and Council.
Hello again, Mr. Lewis. Any questions for Mr. Lewis? Councilman Clay?
Well, I think Keep College Park Beautiful is a fantastic program. I think we're making progress. I just asked the question in advance of, I'd like to have heard sort of a end-of-year summary before we reissued the contract. And I know, Tim, you sent it to me, but I didn't have time to read it. I mean, I didn't get it till late today, so I haven't had a chance to look at it. I have no objection to continuing, but I just felt uncomfortable until we had seen, what had been done under the program before we renewed the contract. So that was my only issue. I'll pass it on to Councilman Carr.
All right, so we got something else today beyond the packet here?
Yes.
We did.
Okay, you saying we didn't?
We did.
Okay, that's what I thought I heard Ambrose say. Yeah, I wasn't even aware we got it, but, yeah, great program, obviously, goes without saying. Because this is a first for us, it's good to see you, Ms. Kennedy. I figure, it'd be good to, and so we gotta wrap up. We can take a look at it and review it, but because this is a first for us, I wanna see how we can make any adjustments and things based on our demographics and what we have in terms of what we learned the first year and what we need to do, what works for our community that works well, or what doesn't work for our community that may have worked well for another community, for example. So, and all of that may be in there. So I want to make sure we got the flexibility to make some adjustments and changes as we go along in terms of, okay, this thing here is working like gangbusters, this other thing not so much, so on and so forth. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to reading it. I'm glad we made the commitment to doing a little better in terms of appearance out here and working to clean up the city, so I'm okay with it.
Councilman Allen?
Good program, and I've been involved with it, and I think it's well worth it.
Councilman Gay?
Well, Tim, I've gotten feedback from my College Park Beautiful appointee. There are a lot of questions that I don't have answers for. I was going down Washington Road the other day, and I saw a flower bed, and I said to myself, this is what leadership is about. That is a vision that I established for College Park, and now look, it's all over the city, flower beds. But with Keep College Park Beautiful, I don't really know what we're doing. I know I spend a considerable amount of time, and you'll contest this, I email you and Michelle every day. There's not one a day, don't go by where I'm not emailing a deficiency, grass, right away. So my thing is, I don't have a problem with it, but it needs to work for, it needs to be a little bit more, to me, closer to what we do in each ward. I don't know what the other councilmen do, but I know what we do in our ward. So, half of $100,000 could go a long way for some other initiatives. So if we're gonna extend it, I'd like to know more about what we're doing, how it impacts each individual ward.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor of contract extension?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All those abstaining?
Abstain?
Councilman Clay, Councilman Carn, and Councilman Allen are in favor. Councilman Gay abstains. The motion passes. And thank you, Ms. Brown, for giving me the silent sign that I skipped an item on the agenda.
Lottie Miller.
Yes, the contract extension for Lottie Miller Boulevard.
I move to approve.
Thank you, Councilman Clay. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Councilman Allen. Any discussion? Hearing none.
Well,
I have a question.
Go ahead.
You go first.
Go ahead, Councilman Carn.
Well, when I saw this, I said to myself, I know when we talked about what had happened earlier, and they made us the offer to expedite things, I didn't think that this was going to come back again with BDR. And we've been working with them for a pretty long time. So, I mean, this range is just pretty broad here, and if I'm looking at this right, this is a little over 200, almost 250. Is that? I didn't see a total amount here.
243.
Are they here?
Yes, there's a representative from BDR and from Kimley Horn.
That's BDR?
Ms. Kelly, Ms. Kelly Fletcher. Sure, so the contract for managing the project, so the original contract estimated costs for labor and oversight only through the month of June. So while the construction, they had that you know, they're delivering the construction, but it's not just the folks digging dirt. You've got a couple of layers. You've got both program management, which is BDR, advisory services, and then you have the engineer of record. So they all were planning and slated and had their original contracts estimated through June. Well, their contracts now are going through February, January, February. So there's costs associated with that. That's what's before you.
Well, Michelle, we've talked over since you got here about progress with this, and we've talked about BDR as well. I'm not very happy about this, and I don't want to spend $250,000 necessarily, or up to, as this says. You know, we pay a city engineer as well, Prime Engineering, correct?
Yes, sir.
Is there any reason why they can't cover any oversight, remaining oversight? I mean, the road is coming close to completion here. It's looking good. Obviously, I'm not an engineer, so we want to make sure it's right and everything's, you know, going as advertised. But we do have assurances from the outfit that's doing it, Matthews, in terms of making sure that they're putting that road in the right way and things are correct, and they have their engineers out there putting things together as well, do they not?
Well, you have, it's a separation of roles in the construction project, and of course I should let Jackson speak better to it as the engineer, but just my experience with it, you wouldn't have your city engineer overseeing, they have to make sure that the project on the permitting side is meeting regulations. So if they are also out there managing and making sure that the construction, the private sector, then you don't want to mix those two roles. They have the regulatory role, a city engineer, and then you have those who are executing it. So you wouldn't have that be the same person.
I hear what you're saying. Well, my issue from my standpoint is I'm not so sure about that. Prime is a contracted engineer city service, and they provide multiple services. So my question is, could they possibly supplement that service for a remainder of time? Is that even possible for a lesser amount of money?
Well, the engineer that's sitting to my back here, he doesn't, it's only about $20,000 as I recall for extended services. When a contractor, they did the drawing, he did the drawing, he's responsible for the drawing. When the drawing has got a question in it, that's where his services come in play, because he's the engineering of record for that particular job. For Prime to come in, and you're asking about Prime, which is to come in here and do something that has been designed by somebody else, he'd have to be able to pick up. Only this contractor has been from the beginning of time, and they just want to foresee it to the end.
Okay, I follow you. Okay, you're the BDR engineer, right? No. Okay, no, you're not the BDR engineer. Okay, who are you again?
I'm Mike Lobdell. I'm with Kimley Horn Associates. So I'm the engineer of record that did the design drawings that C.W. Matthews is constructing now.
All right. And you're the one that you said that who catches the mistakes, the issues? BDR or this guy?
Huh?
You mentioned someone has been responsible for catching the.
I apologize if I said mistakes. I said if there is a question on the drawing.
I'm sorry, a question on the drawings. You're correct.
That was out there, when they request for information, that's him.
Gotcha.
Because he did the drawings, and he would adjust the drawings or tell them what they needed to do to go around a widget.
Right.
Call it a widget.
So you being the designer, and I guess you sent me the plans for the full road, which I thank you. That was very, it's good information.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, so you make the tweaks and adjustments based on what BDR may catch in terms of discrepancies.
It can be BDR. We have bi-weekly meetings with C.W. Matthews, and BDR is running those meetings that where if they encounter something in the field where they need clarification, or, you know, things like that, that's where my contract to extend the services, so I'm available to be in those meetings and make those clarifications.
Now, you're on till the end of this project, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you're not gonna, there's not gonna be any surprises at the next meeting from Kimberly Horn, are there?
None that I'm anticipating.
Okay, so you're good, you're done, you're good throughout the end of this project?
Yes, sir.
You'll be there to double check in case there's some issues or whatever have you?
Right, that's what
Even with CD Matthews itself? Is that right?
I mean, there should be two amendments, one with BDR, and then there's one with Kimberly Horn, and
Right.
that's what I'm speaking to, is the Kimberly Horn
Right.
extension.
But your checks and balances are gonna cover between you, Kimberly Horn, and CD Matthews, with or without BDR. Is that right? No, I'm asking you. You can answer. I'm asking you.
I mean, I handle the drawings and that aspect of it. There's other parts of this project that BDR is overseeing that's not part of my purview.
Understood. Okay, now the BDR, a couple of questions for you all. So, Jackson, you mentioned that this fella answers any discrepancies that BDR may bring up concerning C.W. Matthews. Is that right?
That's one of the.
Is that what I heard? Okay, that's one of the things. Got it.
One of the things.
Okay.
One of the issues. So in order to, what goes on here is BDR, when they turn in their pay apps, that BDR goes through the pay apps and talks to Mike and C.W. Matthews as well as their team and make sure that what they turn in has been completed. What they have out there on site for storage, like pipes, let's say sewer pipes, water pipe, that it's there. And there are accountability services for College Park. There are a go-between to tell us what they got out there, what they're billing us for is within the contract dates and times.
Okay. All right, just two other questions for you. And number one, how much have we paid BDR so far on this project?
I don't have that in front of me at the moment, but I can get that information for you.
Ballpark.
I'm sorry. Yeah, so, right. So as far as the program management services, $255K at this point, and then for advisory services, $244K.
Is that all in? Is that all the costs for BDR that we paid thus far on this project?
Yes, those are the two different contracts that we have, the contract
Okay,
values.
so about $500,000.
Yes.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Last question. How many significant discrepancies or issues have you as BDR caught?
Well, I mean, it could be as small as, are they keeping the roads clean every day? We're going out there to do site visits on a regular basis. So something simple like that is not something that everyone's gonna have a complaint about. That one person that drives on the road and mud is tracked through it, that's a complaint, something we catch and keep on top of them, report back to the City of College Park to let them know, or if we need to engage Public Works, however that has to happen. But we're the coordinator of all of the services. So when we were finding something like the unsuitable soils, we're coordinating the environmental contractor to come out, test the soils, treat the soils, engage us on how to move forward. So we're coordinating everybody so we know how to work as a team together. So we are your rep.
Okay, two things.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, I was told C.W. Matthews found the unsuitable soil, number one. Number two, that wasn't the answer to my question. My question was how many significant discrepancies and issues have you caught? Not some trash being in the gutter there.
Yeah, that was just an example, but I mean, there's you know, if we don't see you know, a certain amount of people working on site on a particular day, then we're going to follow up and determine, is it because you didn't have materials, there was a delay in concrete delivery that particular day, whatever the case is, we're going to make sure that they communicate information that is given from C.W. Matthews when we're on site. We are giving that back to the entire team to determine how to move forward. When we have to decide we want to do a jack and bore with the stream versus an open cut creek, that's a discussion that we're all working together to decide how to manage that and to figure out that we don't need to bring that to council. We can fix it. We have the contingency within the budget to pay for it, so we don't even have to bring it to you all to bother you all about it, and we can continue with the process and try to keep the project on schedule.
So again, how many significant discrepancies have you caught since you've been out there on site? We paid you over $500,000, if I heard you right.
Yes.
So what have we gotten for that money?
So again, with unsuitable soils, I know you said C.W. Matthews, but I also stood out there and smelled the soil myself to determine that we should engage the environmental specialist to come out. And so once that happened, that's one. When we were delayed due to the Atlanta Gas and Light Company, that was something we had to figure out coordination in between that. That's another area. The roads were an issue in the very beginning about how they were being treated throughout the project because that's a residential area, there are homes over there. So that was something that was caught and dealt with and addressed. They could be different things on the budget because we manage the budget and the schedule. So if someone submits a invoice and if the numbers don't match or they are not approved of what's on site, as Jackson mentioned, if there's items that are to be stored and they're not on the site yet, and we go out there, we don't see the sanitary sewer pipes outside, then we're not going to charge City of College Park if those are not out there. So I don't have a specific number before you. I can provide that for you at a later date, but there are a number of things. Any project has change orders. Any project has changes, issues throughout the project, and that's our job to catch them.
Okay, so we don't have an exact number in terms of what we've gotten for the money we paid thus far.
Right.
But let's just say it's a dozen issues that you've caught.
Okay.
All right?
Mhm.
Okay, that's almost $50,000 per issue.
Okay.
I'm not gonna support this expenditure of $250,000 for extending this, but that's just me, so.
I had one question.
Wait, hold on. Moving to Councilman Allen next.
He didn't have any question because he voted already for it.
No, he just made a motion,
Oh,
sir.
I'm sorry.
Councilman Gay, go right ahead.
The only other question I have is this come out of the general fund? Where'd this come out of? What fund?
T-Splost.
Huh?
T-Splosh.
This the T-Splosh fund?
Yes. We're not getting any of the general, nothing's coming out of the general fund.
So when the gentleman came down and said that they needed a contract extension, they wanted $1 million because they were delayed. Remember that? They was down here asking for $1 million? That delay was based on sort of like supply.
That delay was based on them accelerating the contract, so that would have brought more crews out at the same time, so we'd have probably double or triple the people on site to try to get it done faster. That was that price.
So one final question. Kimley Horn and BDR, they're not under the GC?
No.
Who is the GC?
C.W. Matthews.
And y'all not under them?
We're not under them. We actually assist in you all deciding to work with them. So any third-party contractors, architects, engineers, you all decide who you want to work with. We do backgrounds and check with them to make sure they're the right fit for the project.
Are you also like the project directors?
Project managers as well.
Project managers.
Mm-hmm.
Jackson?
Mayor, can I make a comment?
We will circle back one more time. Go ahead, Councilman Clay.
Yeah, guys, we made this decision a long time ago. Councilman Gay just said we had $1 million potential overrun if we were going to meet the date. Because of the delays that we had on this project, which were surprises, et cetera, we had a choice. We said if we want to make the date that we were targeting for, we could spend, and the number in my mind was $1 million. I don't know whether Councilman Gay is and I am on the same page, but I think we may be with that.
Yeah,
so we had a choice. You can spend $1 million and complete by, what was it? June. Or you can drag the project out until February and spend less in managing the project. That's the way I remember it. And we took the option at that time to not spend $1 million. I would have liked to have gotten the project done. I think we all would have liked to get it done. But we didn't want to spend that much money to do it. So we took the least costly option. This is the least and less costly option. So we really made this decision a way back, and all we're doing is approving what we have already foreordained.
Well, when we made
Councilman
this,
Carn?
well, the way I recall it, when we made the decision not to go with the accelerated program for the $1 million, we said we were not going to do that. No one told me there would be $250,000 expense additional at that time at all. We were not told that. So this is news to me.
Joe, you never extend a project without running into costs like this. I don't remember specifically whether I remember a specific number or not.
Gentlemen,
well,
Councilman Carn was speaking. Go ahead.
It's okay. It's all right.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I'm fine, Ambrose. I mean, I don't mind. We back and forth is good. It's good. We deliberate and we, you know, that's fine and okay. That's what we're supposed to do up here. But I wasn't aware of $250,000 that we would have to be looking at, despite turning down the $1 million accelerated program. Last question, Jackson. I know you've worked with C.D. Matthews over the years, and you know they've done a lot of work with us, and they seem to do a pretty good first-class job all the time. Now, if I were to ask C.D. Matthews, and obviously you're not C.D. Matthews, but you know him pretty well, but if I were to ask them, do they do other projects like this without project managers?
Absolutely not.
And that's what they would tell me?
Absolutely not, because
All right.
federal dollars require, you know, when they talk about Georgia DOT, they have project managers more than we have.
Okay,
I mean, they would tell you no, because that's how they spend their money.
gotcha. Okay.
Councilman Allen, any?
No, I don't have any questions.
Councilman Gay.
I don't want to be indifferent, and you know, the only reason why I even raised concerns is like Councilman McClarin said, I don't recall us saying that we would take on additional project management costs in exchange for not giving CW Matthews. I just don't remember that conversation. I will tell the voters that are listening, that be watching us, I mean, just up here today, I've seen close to $5 million that this city did not take advantage of. And for those voters who sit out there and do not get involved, I've sit up here today, I've seen close to $5 million that this body has just perused by as if it means nothing. That's not what I signed on for. That's not. And the day is going to come that this community is going to realize that this is not how it's supposed to be. You don't just throw these dollars around. You know, 54,000 here, 500,000 here, and then your light bill $30 past due and you in the dark. No, this is not how this got to keep going. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you. I'm going to call the question. We've gone around twice. All those in favor?
I have one other piece of discussion here.
Councilman Carn, I've called the question. Everyone, I've called the question.
Before you call the question, I had some more discussion.
have called the question, sir. All those in favor?
Aye.
Councilman Clay?
I said aye.
Okay. All those opposed?
Opposed.
Opposed.
Approval, so the motion passes with Councilman Clay, Councilman Allen, and myself in favor, Councilman Carn and Councilman Gay opposed, so it does pass 3-2.
Okay,
Thank you.
Point of order. If we're not going to be allowed to fully discuss matters up here, it really doesn't make much sense to be up here. Now, these matters are important, and that's a lot of money. And what I was going to say, which I'm going to say now, is that I was not notified of that additional $250,000. We were not notified as a body. Now, unless individual members of council and elected officials were notified individually, then that's a whole nother matter. Now, had I been notified, that we're looking at another $250,000. I might have considered going along with it if I knew about it. But I don't like Monday night surprises. So, again, if we're not going to be able to fully discuss these matters, then what's the point of us being up here? It's a large amount of money, and it's worth a couple of other minutes. And if you're in that big of a hurry or have somewhere to be, I would say don't let me hold you up. But I want to sit here and deliberate and discuss this stuff the way the folks expect me to. And that's what I'm going to continue to do.
City Attorney's report.
Nothing this evening, Mayor.
City Manager's report.
Yes, Mayor, just a couple of things. I want to report on progress that I believe we're making on important positions that have been vacant until I arrived, the city manager. We've extended 3 offers of vacant positions, 1 to city engineer, which certainly would have been important to the discussion just previously had, public works director, and chief building official. In fact, I just got, since I've been sitting here, word that the pending offer extended to the chief building official has been accepted. So I'm very excited with the progress that we're making. I think top talent that we can expect to come in soon and help us with some of these issues. Those positions and just going through the process is also helping in the organizational restructure that over the next several weeks I am going to be proposing to you, starting to come into focus. So I'm excited about that. For the next city council meeting, you can expect some incremental changes, hopefully improvements to what you receive from staff that may look a little bit different than what you've been receiving. Obviously, the council receives a lot of information in helping you to go through the agenda and making decisions. But in putting an agenda together, I believe it's very important that all of our constituents who are interested are a part. And that includes making sure that they understand. So the changes that we're going to be making on the agenda cover the agenda memo up, so to speak. Right now you receive up to 12 categories explaining an agenda item. I believe we can simplify that some and get the same kind of information. I want our community to be able to read a narrative, a story, in effect, in its simplest form, free of acronyms that aren't spelled out, and that tells a story. So basically, agenda items in the future, as I've already discussed with staff, will include background, recommendation, and funding sources. And we're going to be playing with that. You know, you don't perfect it the first time around, but demonstrating it and getting your feedback as we go along will be important to the process. In that background and or recommendation information, we're also going to be referring to our strategic plan, making sure that staff is in tune. And so if we're presenting something to you, not just making it fit, but justifying it, that is contributing because we're spending money, taking some action that we're asking the policymakers to endorse into your strategic plan that you have approved most recently in 2020. So just preparing you for increment change that is going to start to come hopefully for the better. So just a couple of examples of progress that we're making. And I'll say again, I don't want to rush things, but these verbal reports that I'm giving now is going to be far more in-depth with details of what we're doing every 2 weeks so that you know what's going on by department. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hawthorne. Report of Mayor and Council. Councilman Clay.
Well, City Manager, that was a great great segue into something I wanted to say, and that is that especially this last agenda that we had, we got a lot of items late, or volume of items late after the packet had been put together, and that creates two problems. One, the citizens don't see everything that we see in the packet, and secondly, we've got to catch up on it last minute. So I'm really looking forward to those enhancements, and I appreciate that. The other thing I wanted to say was we had a really, really great event in Barrett Park this past weekend. The lollipops and Legos. The kids had a lot of fun, and I look forward to more community events like that in the park. We did have some discussion today, Michelle and I and another representative of working on the restroom project, and we're fighting to make progress on that. So I'm looking forward to getting that done. I am particularly concerned, and I've said this before, but I just want everybody to hear. I've said it at other meetings with citizens that I'm particularly concerned in getting it done while I'm still on council, because I'm concerned with avoiding some of the issues we've had with restrooms elsewhere in the city. And as I've said, whatever we pilot on these restrooms, I would like to see them carried over to all the restrooms in the city, so that we have the same degree of facilities at all the parks. And we're working on that. The other thing I wanted to mention was, I think it was several weeks ago, I don't remember whether it was in a meeting or outside, we found that there were a number of court hearings that were delayed during, I think it was the month of April. I can't remember what it was, April, or it can't be May, because it was, there were things that were not held at the court. And I'm just going to mention that the judge did come forward to mayor and council and pointed out the need for staff and the need for funding for that staff. And I think maybe some of your organizational changes will address some of the issues there. And I'm really glad to hear that, because I think it's essential that the court system be efficient and effective. And that's all I had to say.
Thank you, sir. Councilman Carr.
Had a good weekend. I heard about the great event over at the park. I was elsewhere. I'm hoping everybody enjoyed their Mother's Day. I certainly enjoyed mine. It's great on a Sunday, except for if you're trying to get to a restaurant, I suppose. But if you were cooking at home, and I don't know who cooks at home on Mother's Day, because you sure don't want mama cooking, but I hope everybody enjoyed theirs. Couple of things. You know, we're coming into, it's getting hot, and I mean, as we're starting to hit the 80s here, we always know we want to keep an eye on what's going on with the crime in the communities. Chief, I'm seeing more patrols. I'm looking forward to some of the new implementations and policies you were talking about. Some of the patrol stuff in particular that we're talking about that I was very excited about. I'm hoping we're going to get that type of stuff going and rolling to, not get as much of a summer spike, so to speak, which we get every year, but we want to tone that down as much as possible. You see and you hear so much stuff about gun proliferation in this community, in this country for that matter. So, a few years back we enacted the first gun buyback in the city of College Park. At some point, I'd like to look at entertaining that again. I think we learned from the first one that we had, and perhaps maybe we look at one for College Park residents only in the near future. I think that would be a good message and a good idea. City Manager, I'm liking what I'm hearing so far, and that sounded like music to my ears. Sounds like you're moving forward and making progress. Reorganization, restructuring, hitting the reset button, making the wholesale changes that actually need to be made. We do pretty good. Can we do better? Yes, absolutely yes, and we're counting on you to do that. These three department heads in particular, they represent the overall, infrastructure, the maintenance, regulation standards, the cleanliness and upkeep of this entire city, which is a big three. And it's very important who you're picking, and they need to really understand they're coming in here, and we're not going to be paying them for their pretty smile. We're paying them to get in here and reorganize and set new and higher standards. That's very, very important. Last thing I'll say is, my obligation is to serve the best interest of the residents here. Sometimes we do have opportunities that come our way. We're all aware of our fund balance, and we're all also aware of what that fund balance used to be. Now, COVID hit us obviously more acutely because we're a hospitality city, whereas other cities that got hit, they took a dip and it put a dent in their budgets. But because we're hospitality, second largest convention center in the state, 36 hotels, motels, and the airport, all of those things effectively shut down for nearly 2 years, more or less. So we took a big hit. We did have a kind of a major opportunity laid at our doorstep, and yeah, it was substantial. But here's the thing: at the end of the day, it's what this body decides they want to do. Again, I support that school 100%. I'm so proud that we're getting it and that we're having it. This other thing would not have encumbered that school, I don't believe at all. But again, at the end of the day, the votes, the consensus is the consensus, and we move forward. That's just the way it goes. I don't think anybody up here gets everything that they want to get accomplished, but that's why you have a debating body and a deliberative body, so you can go through the back and forth, and when it doesn't go the way you want it to go, you move on to the next thing. Last thing I got is, and I guess at the last meeting, I was kind of made aware that the Public Works site and our Public Works facility is included in the sale for 6 West that we got out in the public, that's in terms of offering the property for sale. But City Manager, it occurred to me, I said, well, and I was getting caught, I got caught up to speed on that. Looking at the map, you say to yourself, okay, I guess it does include that, and I said to myself, did we carve out Public Works, or was that included? And it was included. But if we haven't put in our budget for a new Public Works facility to replace the one that potentially could be gone based on if we do a sale of 6 West, I think that's obviously something we need to look at, because we still want to be able to provide those great public work services to everybody, unless nobody wants their trash picked up anymore, which I seriously doubt that's the case. So I think we need to talk about that and figure out what we're going to do, because we could very well be in the next 90 days or before the year's out looking at a potential sale. which is what our goal is. But I think that's a big hole that we need to look at and figure out how we're going to, plug that hole. So just something to keep on your radar. I think that's all I got. Oh, tomorrow it's an election day. It's a special election for District 68, which had portions of South Fulton and College Park. I think the maps have changed it somewhat. And this is a special election for the death of one of our state representatives earlier this year, March 8th, Tish Nagees, who will be missed. So I think that's all I got.
Councilman Allen?
Okay, echo what Councilman Carnes mentioned. Hope everybody enjoyed their Mother's Day. Hope you had a day off, at least a little bit, but hope you enjoyed that. City employees, don't forget the open enrollment is all week at the Brady Center, 8 to 5. Be sure and check out the insurance that is available for you out there. And I'll also echo, Mr. Hawthorne, thank you very much. I'm very proud of the way you've gone about this. This is great, the enhancements, and just keep up the good work. Thank you very much. And last, this past week we had some internet and solar problems with the internet. Maybe we ought to look into if IT had batteries where it would go into the battery. That would save the internet, and that's a cheap solution. And so, maybe we can take a look at that and see if that can solve any problems for the internet in the future for a very cheap price. So let's take a look at that, and that's really all I have. Councilman Gay?
Yes, Mayor. I have a few things. First off, I want to thank all of the graduating seniors from all levels. I was at Georgia State, and I seen the children walking across the street with their parents, and it just dawned on me that, it's just something that the entire families contributed and celebrated, and I'm just very proud, whoever these seniors are, of them for their accomplishments. The second thing is that, I was listening to NPR today, and they were talking about the stalemate between government and what we default on our debt. I'm sure we're not going to default. But today, I just kind of understood what they're fighting over. One group want people to stop spending money, and the other group is saying, well, that's a different conversation. They said, no, we're going to use this as a tactic to get y'all to stop spending money. And I'm saying the same thing to this body. To Councilman Cohen's point, I saw the late John Lewis, they stayed on the floor till the next day. They didn't go to sleep. They literally kept their bodies up to argue a point. Here, we'll spend 20 minutes to get somebody millions of dollars. I don't understand that. It makes me wonder, I just don't get it. I cannot fathom why we don't prioritize our spending. For example, I love the fact that there's a Beehive School, Queen. I'm excited. But that's $5 million worth of real estate that we gave away for $1. $1. And we have opportunities to get money. And Fulton County School Board balance sheet don't look like our balance sheet. They got billions. And it was me who fought them to spend the splash. That wasn't nobody on this panel but Roderick Gay. So y'all can pontificate and make it seem like you're so proud, but we had to fight them to spend that splash that they got in 2000 and whenever it was. Fact check me, someone. And it's just like that splash pad. Now that it's built, everybody want to push me out the way and take pictures. So we didn't even fight for our gym. You had Miss Johnson and Lance here, and we didn't even fight for our own staff. That's our gym. That's our building. That's our program. And you act as if God came in here and said, no, No, Clay, no, Alan, no. We had a responsibility to protect those spaces for our staff, and we did not. Second of all is, when the Main Street Academy bought Harriet Tubman, Fulton County gave them that building for $1. Then they turned around and bought the building. And then people calling me for 3 years saying, Councilman Gay, we can't even go to the school that's blocking our driveway. Our children can't even go to the school, but they blocking our driveway. How does this work? Doc said that man said, we got plenty of spaces for y'all. What does that even mean? Put it in writing. College Park, 30337 children need to have first priority to that school. That's our school. 30337 need first priority to that school. I'm saying it publicly. 30337 need to have first priority to that school, whether you got a 2.0 or 1.2. That's our school. That's our house. The next point I want to make is that I notify. I just found out today that I notify is back because the other software didn't work. So we have a number that our citizens can call to report deficiencies. Ward 4, you can call. We're going to put the number, talk to Mike. We're going to put the number out there. You can call. You can call me too, but we got a number you can call that will get some of these deficiencies done. Next thing I want to say is that, Mayor, you did a state of the city, and that's fine. But I listened to it, and in my opinion, the state of the city should be a collaboration between our city manager and our council members. You could have read it, but this is a council, city manager-driven form of government. If you want to be a councilman, you should run for council member. That's not what our mayor does. I know it sounds like it's the right thing to do, but it's not always that. That state of the city should have been a collaboration between all of us. I know the late Jack Longino did it in here right around election time. But if we're going to talk to our citizens, it needs to be an involvement of all of us, because some of the things that were said, I don't agree with it, city manager and city attorney. The other thing is, and I'm about done, is that I've seen, and this is particular to our BIDA people that are here, I've seen numerous of minority developers not get opportunity. Now, I guess you say, here we go again, fighting for blah, blah. No, that's not even the point. The point is, I've seen minority developments not get considered. I've seen minorities who have built Atlanta, Carver Homes, Capitol Homes, Hardware Road, not even get considered. I'm seeing a trend of minority developers. I'm seeing a trend of men who came out of our city who are now affluent, being recognized by governors, people that can tell us things that we'll never accomplish, at least I won't in my lifetime, being ignored, as if their development is not worthy, as if they can't find money, they don't have access to capital. But then when the Hawks come in here and stuff like that, you're going to get them the whole shoot match, and we losing money. I just think, and I know people are hearing me, but we need to reconsider. We thought that when we changed this government, things were going to go forward. This clock has turned backwards. Our clock is turning backwards. We lost Terrence Moore, Gerald Walker, Mike Mason, Oscar Hudson, and what did all them guys have in common? What did they have in common? Now I'm seeing credible developers not have an opportunity at this table. That's not right. That's just not right. These men built Atlanta. They can certainly build College Park. Just because you got 3 votes doesn't make it right. I've seen 3 people vote up here 98% of the time. 98, you worrying about households, 98% of the time 3 people will vote. 98%, that is not government. Somebody is not processing. That's block voting. It sounds good when you acknowledging people. Yeah, that's cool. That sounds good. But the layer under that is 98% of people are voting together against things that matter to other people. And that's not why we're up here. Next thing I want to say is that we have people coming to Rockland Homes, $100 million development, $100 million development. We got to keep that safe. We had a woman that was robbed in broad daylight. Drive some cars through there, put some signs up. We had a homicide thrown in somebody's house. These people out here putting $100 million in our community. Keep it safe. Next thing I want to say in closing is that Soccer in the Streets honored their legacy members Saturday at Jamestown. An amazing event. That was the girl who was killed at Wendy's. She was a soccer player in Jersey 12. The CEO of MARTA, who put soccer in all of the MARTA stations, who committed suicide. It was a beautiful event. And it was just good to see that those people come to our community. The last thing I want to say is Wally Park. Wally Park has been sold. Did the city protect its interest on those lots? I know that's what I want to know. I asked, but nobody called me back. So I want to follow up on Wally Park. Did we get protected? And the last and final thing is the Jack Longino Scholarship. When Director Hicks was over the airport Chamber of Commerce, he fought to make sure those children got those monies. There's still money in us. We need to make sure that this is financial aid time. I know I'm asking my son to get on the computer and find some money. We got to let these children get some of that money, so we need to put it out there so they can apply or give it to the same children as a continuation of their scholarship. Mayor, that's all I have for tonight.
Thank you, sir. In the words of Mary J. Blige, let them get mad. They gonna hate anyway. Don't you get that? Doesn't matter if you're going with their plan, because they'll never be happy because they're not happy with themselves. I'm excited to head over to DC tomorrow to see some of our representatives and work on behalf of this city as the chief executive of this city, to advocate on behalf of this city and its residents, its employees, our visitors, our staff. That's my job. That's why I'm here. That's why we're all here. To show up every single day, to be prepared, to know our stuff, and to advocate. I'm proud to do that every single day with this body. You see, we don't always agree, and that's okay. We have a mission, and it's to work on behalf of this city, and we should never lose sight of that. Personalities don't matter. Getting upset with each other doesn't matter because we have a mission. It is to work on behalf of the city of College Park. Each and every day, day in, day out. And it is a privilege to do that every single minute. We have additional information to discuss in executive session, so at this time I'll take a motion to enter into executive session for the purposes of discussion of real estate.
Motion.
Thank you, Councilman Karn. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilman Clay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, gentlemen. That's unanimous. We'll head on in to executive session.